Welcome to Live from Dennis's house. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be doing Tin Lizzy and Live and Dangerous. And my guest is my good friend and childhood friend, my fellow Rosedale, Queens friend, Charles Carr. Say hello, Charles.
Hello, everybody. Good friend, huh? Yeah.
You prefer to be called Chucky, right? Let's get that
No. I'm Chuck Carr, man.
Chuck or Chucky?
No, Chucky died. The last I saw Chucky, he was sitting in a bar stool with pals, and it got boarded up, and I was yelling, "Chucky, get out!" But it was too late for him. So he was a cousin of mine, so he's deceased.
So now you're
so
an
don't
adult.
speak ill of the dead.
You're an adult, and you go by the name Chuck.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
that's
I dropped
good.
the Y in manhood.
Well, I thought it was an IE anyway.
Yeah, whatever you want. It's easy.
So, all right, so we got a lot of stuff to go over today. Also, since we're doing Tin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous, my band, the DeSilvas, we've already recorded an impromptu Boys Are Back in Town featuring Little Jimmy on guitar, who you know.
Sure.
So that will be aired later. Chuck, you didn't even see it. You're not even going to get to see that till the show airs. So that'll be a treat for you.
Absolutely no advantage to be here.
And I have the Chucky Carr file here that I've been
rest
saving
in peace,
for the
Chucky.
show.
Rest in peace.
So we're going to pull out a lot of stuff here. So, all right. So let's get started a little bit on the band here and the music, and then we'll get to all the other stuff. So hold up the album here. And the tradition, you know the tradition.
Some residue on that album.
If you notice, they have some picture here, inside here, I think. Oh, look at that. I read about that, and then I noticed it, that they have, like, rolled up dollar bill and razor blade
That's
there.
why I went with the
stuff.
residue.
Yeah.
Go.
But, these guys should have just said no, like we did, because now, look where they are. This is a good one. You got to go inside.
I'm not going inside on a 40-year-old album. You can't pick a mind.
All right.
But I just saw Tin Lizzy on the Palladia channel. You ever watch that?
Yes, I do all the time.
Friggin' awesome.
But I have something to say about that. That you did not see Tin Lizzy. Now let's go back. Is the band named Thin Lizzy? Is it Tin Lizzy? What's the name?
The Irish like to drop the H a little bit.
So that's why they put it in there, so they could say Tin Lizzy.
Right.
All right, that's good. Then.
That's what I said.
All right. So yes, This album came out in 1978, and many people say it is one of the best live albums of all time. I actually left this off of my list when
Teddy Williams was quite upset about that.
Yes, so good thing you came to represent. And let's get to why you picked this. I don't ever remember we discussed Tin Lizzy as kids.
That is a great point, Dennis, and I will tell you why I picked that up. I'll go with my little Irish hat. I was snubbed from the Irish Day show. So he went with some Armenians and Hungarians. He had some Portuguese in there, and then finally I think he got bailed out. The Irish
Kelly
came on, and she had enough. Yeah. She threw all the foreigners out of their seats, and like St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland.
Okay, yeah,
and saved the show.
I was originally for my St. Patrick's extravaganza. I was going to have Chucky on, but we could only record it during the week, and Chuck can't leave the state during the week. New York State does not allow him to leave without permission. So we had to snub him from the show, and now it all makes sense.
So I backdoored my way in with Thin Lizzy, get the little Irish on there. Thank you, Phil Lynott.
Yes. So,
however we pronounce it.
So Phil Lynott, as I would like to say, he is the bass player, the lead singer, the composer, the heart and soul of the band, if you will. And that's why I object when you say you've seen Tin Lizzy recently, because you did not. You saw a glorified cover band playing Thin Lizzy songs, if you ask me.
Yeah, so let's just rail on cover bands for a while, Those
cover cans are perfectly fine.
Yeah, but when you're playing to 100,000 people and there's no way we're gonna resurrect this guy to come out of his grave. No. Even the last few years of his life, But he was what I like about him, he's, I know it was Ireland, but it was like, it was kind of like Rosedale, all that racial tension. Could you imagine being mulatto? Your father's black and your mother's white, and she raises you in Dublin, And then
that must have been
the
hard.
guy's like cooler than Jimi Hendrix. He took a ton of crap. I mean, I'm not endorsing drugs, but I understand.
Yes, he actually, they said he paved the way for all the black Irish rock stars that came after him. And
They would be-
can you name them for us, Chuck? Well, I actually can. There was Tyrone O'Shaughnessy. Remember him?
No. But
Latrell
Sprewell.
O'Brien.
Sprewell had a little band.
Well, speaking of that, I like to, this Clippers, the LA Clippers guy. Let's go right into that. I want to just mention something briefly about this. The LA Clippers guy, Don Sterling is his name.
Okay.
And I'm going on record right now that he's banned for life from my show. He will never be on my show, Chuck.
See, I got a problem with that.
I don't really care either way, but I just like jumping on the bandwagon and beating people when they're down.
You know what? I got a problem with that because my whole life.
It is a family show.
It
No
is
controversial
a family show,
subjects.
and there won't
here.
be any controversy. This is only from my own selfish point of view. Is that I always dreamed that when I was 80, I could say whatever I wanted to whoever I wanted, and nobody could do anything. That's how my father rolled. That was my goal, man. Retire and just be completely who I really wanted to indulge myself to be. And now I find out if I do that, I can't own the Clippers. So
Exactly, that's it.
It's painful.
I believe that it's actually a conspiracy that Oprah just wanted to buy the Clippers, so that's why she started this whole thing. That girl actually works for Oprah. You'll find that coming out someday.
She was with Magic.
Yeah, well, it's a conspiracy somehow, but I don't care either way.
He's banned.
Yep, he's banned from my show.
There you go. And his name was again? Guy from the Clippers?
Yeah, Don Sterling, I think
All right,
it is.
there you go.
Don Johnson. Somebody's banned from my show.
Yeah. Don Johnson, you hear that? You're going down too, baby.
Yeah, so anyway, this band, this album is great. I actually say it was a good choice. I actually really love Tin Lizzy. And their sound was back in the day, back in the 70s when this came out. The live album, this was recorded like in 76 and 77. And their sound was really different. They were the first ones to have, I think, the dual guitars going like that and a hard rock sound. So I really enjoyed this. And their first big commercial breakthrough was Boys Are Back in Town, of course. One of the most famous rock songs of all time that's still heard on a daily basis. I can go in my car and put the radio on, and I'm bound to hear it.
I could never understand why they never broke in the States.
Well,
they were.
Besides,
they were hardcore.
They were
They
huge.
were
See, that's
awesome.
what I like that too about them. Like you were saying, it's kind of like Rosedale, that these guys look like tough guys, and like it's not fancy boys and stuff. They look like they were hard-nosed, tough guys back in Dublin over there. So, and their sound, actually, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but it reminds me of Bruce Springsteen. That like blue-collar roots and
You
stuff.
could have been living in New Jersey too long, but yeah.
No, like listen to some of that stuff. It really
He's banned from my show.
Like the Boys Are Back in Town, besides the dual guitar parts and stuff, could have been written by Bruce Springsteen. Think about it. It's maybe a little complicated for you to digest right here.
The only thing I've ever played is the radio, so I don't know if we're going to have an intellectual musical discussion here.
So, all right, so we'll come
But
back.
you need to drop Bruce's name in every show that's produced in New Jersey. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, that's a rule.
Yeah, that's a rule.
You got to say Bruce at every show. So anyway, let's get back to now our upbringing for a little while here. That we were both born and raised in Rosedale, Queens.
You by wolves, me by upstanding citizens.
And you lived in the halfway house on the one-way street.
No, I was in the other half. The other half, the other way. So we made the whole way. But yes,
So you
lived on a dead-end
end,
street,
right by the drive-in movie theater, and used to crawl under the fence to watch the movies, right?
or tear open the fence. But the best of times. I mean, I wish I could. No, I take that back. I was going to say I wish I had that community for my kids, but I'm glad, where we did what we did. But it was definitely a unique time.
Yeah, that like I said before, it's a great place to grow up if you were a juvenile delinquent,
Right.
like Chuck.
Well,
But
okay.
that actually, I was thinking about writing a book about this. I was talking to Al Mazza about this last time he was on, and I have to say that I would have to say per capita and based on demographics and all the size of Rosedale, that it was the craziest town to ever live. That everybody, I didn't know one normal person. Every kid was a juvenile delinquent that I knew, and there was hundreds of generations after generations were just lost in that town. That everybody acted crazies. Would you agree with that, or?
Well, yeah, I would. I think it was partly tied into the jet fumes, the jet fuel that they always said they dumped out over Brookville Park, and maybe we absorbed too many of those.
Yes, the town that we grew up in, Rodale, Queens, right by Kennedy Airport. So that may have something to do with it. Yeah. But
I remember when that the jet went down in the
in the swamp.
In the swamp.
Yeah.
And then and we were also having a drug epidemic at the same time. We were younger than that. We were not participating in that, but there was heroin and dead bodies and jewelry and all this stuff, and then guys showing up with like rings at pawn shop with still fingers stuck in them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a big problem.
They were going in there stealing the luggage and the crime.
Nah.
Oh man, embarrassing.
You weren't there for that.
I was definitely not there for that. But Rosedale was the furthest you could get as a city employee to the suburbs. You weren't allowed to live on Long Island.
Right.
So we had a lot of cops and firemen, and if you know anything about cops' kids. Sorry. Cops' kids were out of their friggin' minds because they had a license to steal.
Yeah, that's true.
And they would always get out of any trouble, so they would always push the envelope more and more.
That's a good point. See, you're going to have to be a contributor to my book when we come out with that.
There you go. Just don't fact check me on any of this.
Let's start working on that later. So inside the Chucky files here, we got to go back and talk about some stories about you as a kid. So my favorite story about you is the pith helmet story. I'm sure you remember this, and don't even try and deny it.
That may have been Chuck E.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Chuck was away at Harvard.
So, I want to hear that pith. The people out there, they got to know about the pith helmet story.
Actually, what is the pith helmet
Come on,
story?
You want me to tell it? I don't remember it as well as you. But in a nutshell, what the story was is that you were trying to sell your parents' house, and you were hanging out in there.
I wasn't sure where you were going.
It was like an empty shell
I wore a
of a
pith
house.
helmet a lot.
Yes.
Or the Sherlock Holmes helmet.
Yeah.
Basically, it is a pretty crazy story.
Well, let me explain to people in case they don't know what a pith helmet is. It's one of those like helmets you see on safari and archaeologists always wearing it and things like that.
But it had a solar panel and a fan in the front. It was actually my father's. All my crazy hats were my dad's, and he would wear them seriously. This is genius.
All right, so go ahead, finish the story.
There was a time where my parents had just had enough, and they've had some unsuccessful rooting of getting me out of their home. So they moved out, and they moved to down on Craft Avenue, and they got an apartment. So then they were like, "You're paying the mortgage."
Did they actually tell you where they went, or just one night in the middle of the night they were gone?
I would go over there in the afternoon on my bicycle and steal their beer, and they're like, and they come take it back to my house. Albert came over one time. I'm eating a baked potato with barbecue sauce on it, and I got a 6-pack of Tall Boys, and I was like, it was either get a sandwich or get the beer. So I found this potato, and we just worked around it. So,
that's an Irish 7-course meal right
there.
There
you go,
right?
Man. There you go. Maybe 2 potatoes. But, so they move out, and then my father goes, "You're paying a mortgage until we can sell this house." So my mission was for them never to sell the house and me to take on, being financially responsible, pay the whole $202 mortgage each month, But they took all their furniture too, so we had like a garbage can with a road construction sign as our kitchen table. We had no cups, so we were drinking out of like kettles and like old tin things that we found. It was a real crazy scene, and then
it's like Naked and Afraid, that new show. Yeah.
So everybody would, just crash there. You open up a room, every room was like an adventure, like, whoa, close that door over. So then one morning we got a buddy of mine had passed out.
I don't think you should mention the name.
Yeah, I will not mention his name out of respect. He had passed out in a chair, so I got this pith helmet on, I got a Hawaiian shirt, I was still thinking I'm running things. So I bust out this makeup and I put an upside down cross on his forehead, and then I start giving him eyeliner, writing all this crazy crap on him, and then we put shaving cream on him, whatever we were doing to the poor guy. And he's passed out. He's not feeling a thing. I mean, we could have dropped an anvil on his head and he would have been fine with it. And then all of a sudden the doorbell rings, which was surprising because I didn't know we had a doorbell. We never locked the doors. Everybody just walked in. But the doorbell rings and there's like a priest like 2 nuns. There's like this Spanish family, and they're like, we're here to see the house. And then they come in, and like you could hear the squishing on the carpet of all the beer that was stuck in there. You know, they go into the kitchen, and there's like this road construction sign. There's like 3 kegs underneath the
table.
The table there. It was like one of those high counters.
Yeah.
And then they go into the living room, and there's my friend sitting there, and then it was like Madre Mio, and they start going into all this Spanish, and
El Diablo.
The priest starts giving the sign, the nuns start praying frantically, and we got to hold on to the house a little longer. You know, they didn't put a bid on it. You know, home of the devil. You know. But
Say that is the pith helmet story.
I forgot about it.
Anyone, how can you forget that story?
I tried to forget about it.
All right, so let's listen to a little more. We'll get back to more of that here. Listen to that. All right, so you think this is too loud, right? That we can't hear each other, but it's not that loud on the air. So
I know. I watched the show. I'm like, does this guy ever play music?
So I want to talk about a little bit about Tin Lizzy. There's a good story that I found out about this guy, the drummer. That, like I was saying, they seemed like a tough band. That this drummer, when they were on tour, his name is Brian Robertson, and he suffered a hand injury when he was trying to protect his fellow Glaswegian. I guess that's a country.
Glasgow, maybe.
Glasgow, in Scotland, but they call them Glaswegians. Anyway, so they were backstage. No, they were at some club, right? And it was a band up on stage, and this guy's friend went on stage to, the guy was drunk, and he went up on stage and interrupted the band. So later on backstage, that a member of that band attacked his friend with like a broken bottle. So he jumped in front of it, and he got cut, and he hurt his hand. But the good part is that after he got his hand cut, he broke that guy's leg. Then he broke someone else's collarbone, and then he headbutted another guy before he gets smashed over the head with a bottle, rendering him unconscious.
Legendary.
See? So now that is a good story. So there's a pretty cool band here. So, and let's get back to Phil Lynott now. As we all know, he died from drinking and drugs at age 36, which is very sad. I believe he choked on his own vomit, which is a very glamorous way to go. And this reminds me of the time, I think it was that pith helmet. That day of the pith helmet story, you actually choked on someone else's vomit? Is that true?
I hope not.
That's how I heard
I think I'm being ambushed here, you know.
It's in the
files. You're
files.
Make up stories. And we're going to, I can stick to the truth on this guy over here, and we could have a show. I was going to bring my friend Bobby Rule, who couldn't make it last minute. He is like a dentist historian. It is amazing the things. Bobby has not changed from, childhood, and everybody keeps in touch with him. Like,
not me. I haven't heard of sound in 30 years.
I'll tell you, and there's not one time when I get together, he lives in the same town as I do now, and everybody gets in touch with him, and every time I see Bobby, whether I'm passing through the town or anything like that, there's a dentist story right at the tip of his tongue ready to come out.
Yeah, so I heard you tried to bring him. You stopped over on the way here.
I did.
He wasn't going for it, though?
No, he was going for it.
But what happened?
I gave him like 15 minutes warning, which is normally enough because he's down for anything. He's like, yeah, I think I could do that. But things were a little tight, so he just said, I was going to AC the night before. And
yeah, so that's what Chuck is from, still lives in New York, and he just went to Atlantic City last night, and he's stopping back on the way in. So go ahead, finish your Bobby Rule story. Or do you want to talk about AC now?
That was pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah,
so how did you do at AC last night? Did you have fun? Did you gamble? Did you win? Did you lose?
Had a good time. There was some funny guys.
That means you lost. Otherwise, the first word out of your mouth would have been, I won.
It depends, man. I took it back in equity, as you can see. I hit that buffet like a man possessed. Like, people were hailing me as, I was going up for my third omelet. They're just like, man. Even the guys, like, giving me, like, a fist pump at the fryer.
That's what I love about you, that every time you go to AC, you usually lose, but you always make it up at the buffet. You gorge yourself ridiculously.
Oh, yeah. I like to take a dinner plate and hold it under the ice cream and just, like, swirl up like Close Encounters, make my own Devil's Peak.
And didn't your father have some like rule or something about going to these buffets and eating like that? Didn't he have something?
Yeah, you got to get your money's worth, and don't bring any lightweights.
No, he said something afterwards also, like about they.
Oh yeah. Well, we used to, it's part of my detox, drying out from my New York adventures. I go down. My dad was building some houses with my sister and my brother-in-law in Florida, and Sundays, we'd work on a house, and then we go to Shoney's. And Shoney's was an all-you-could-eat breakfast buffet, and my brother-in-law, myself, and my dad, we were like artists, and we would hit this thing, like they'd come in and they'd just be like, oh man, we're going to take a loss on this one. Like their stock would dip the day we would go in. And my father figured out, like, we were peaking out, after like a couple of hours in there, and my father figured out that if you hit the high toilets, the handicap stalls, because they're so much higher, you get more of a gravitational pull on things, and then you're good for like another hour in there. So ever since then, I've been hitting the high toilets and making them weep at the buffets.
So Shoney's is out of business, so that's needless to say, right?
Yeah. They make it back on the lightweights, It kills me when I take my wife to all-you-can-eat, or my kids. I'm just like,
right, and
seriously?
they eat one little bite,
We went to an all-you-can-eat Chinese. My son's like, I'll just get the noodles. I'm like, we're going to throw it down right here? We're going to air the family laundry in front of all these Chinese people? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they fight too.
So, your father, from what I understand, was a colorful character as well. Would you like to share any father stories while you're here? Or
my father was a legend. He was like the Pied Piper. I talk about the drug epidemic, and the cops and the firemen had this rule. Like, it was the older generation. It wasn't our age. They were all hooked up on heroin. They were robbing from each other and from each other's parents and stuff like that. So if you the fathers actually banded together, and we weren't part of that clique, but the cop fathers banded together, and they said if you caught any of the kids hanging out or doing anything wrong, it was okay to throw down on them. And I mean, throw down on them hard, bust out the nightstick, start beating them about the legs, and this would happen at the end of the block. We were on a dead end. Could have taken it to the dead end side where nobody would see, but they wanted to make an example of these guys.
Put them into the town square.
Yeah. But these guys, they would break the rules, and then they would come back the next day, like, and break them again. You weren't going to teach them a lesson. But with my dad, they just connected. Everything was Mr. Carr, and the fathers used to come over and be like, Charlie, I can't even have this kid in my house by himself. He goes, and then you tell him to dig out your pool. My dad used to dig out the pool in the middle and make it like 11 feet deep in the center. Real hazard. But the kids would do anything he said, no matter how bad they were. But that brings me up. There's one great story. One of my father's favorite guys on the block, and I'm not going to use his name, but he was a great guy. He comes down, and he always got the hottest girls. He was older than us. My father used to sit there holding court, popping down his Michelobs, and maybe that's why all the kids liked him. But he's sitting up there on the porch, and when this guy saw my dad, he was just like, Mr. Carr, you got a minute? What's going on? So he had this smoking hot girl with him, right? So he goes, Mr. Carr, and this was Rocky, and Rocky was just out, and Rambo. So he goes, Mr. Carr, and he was like a little insecure. He was like, but he had the hot girls, So he goes, Diane says, I look like that guy from, Sylvester Stallone, and he wanted my dad to just give him the nod, like, yeah, you're Sylvester Stallone, you look just like him, I can see it. And the girl's like, yeah, doesn't he? My dad, puts down a beer, starts taking looks at him from all these different angles, and he goes, yeah, sorry, I just don't see it. And you see the guy's whole appearance break down, and his shoulders go down, and he's like, I told you I didn't look like him, and he gets like kind of angry at Diane. My father turns around and he goes, you know who you do look like, though? You look like that guy from Rocky. Boom! The whole place explodes, man. Almost tried his name. The guy gets all up, his chest is out again, and he's like, that's him, Mr. Carr! Sylvester Stallone is Rocky. Then you look just like him, holy shit! You know, it was like the nod, man. The guy was out off to Hollywood, you know. But that was just my dad lifting people up. He would do things. He was all about the kids, you know. The dads would be bitching about the kids, and my dad would go out and build a ramp, you know. And then he'd make it safe for us. He'd put rocks on both sides so that, you know, it wouldn't be uneven. And then he'd elevate the ramp, and then he'd sit there watching us and judging us. You know, you get a thumbs up, you know, you get a number 1, you know, you get this, and we all wanted the approval. Take our bikes over the ramp, come down, boom. Keep doing it. My dad be banging out the Michelobes, watching, and he had this big old bike from like the 1920s. It was a Gazelle. This thing was huge. And then he goes, all right, boys, my turn. So he comes out and he stacks the ramps from the bricks from under the ramp from left and right all the way to the center and straight up. So now it's twice as high, but it's only got support dead center in the middle. And he gets on the bike and boom, 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 and he starts pedaling really hard, and he hits the side of the ramp, freaking opens up his head.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know, he's like, all right, you know, he starts trying to put butterfly Band-Aids on it and shit. It was awesome. And then the wives made the husbands finally take him to the Franklin General. And he goes to Franklin General and then tells the guys he's got to go to the bathroom and gets home before they do. And he didn't have a car.
Oh, you didn't get the stitches?
No, he didn't get stitches. He never got stitches. He believed in vitamin E and butterfly Band-Aids. That was his thing.
And Windex. Right?
He did it. And that story was even better because he... off season, he took one of the lifeguard stands and he drove us down to like Nassau Beach. And then Nassau Beach was a little rough and it was like high tide, so he drags it out there and he puts it in the water and he has us jumping off it all day. We're having a blast, you know, jumping into the water. Well, not all day, you know how the tides roll, right?
Yeah.
But apparently my dad didn't. So he goes, all right, you know, pounded down the Michelob's, puts down the beer, and he goes, I'm going to show you kids how to do it. Now, we had stopped doing it like an hour ago because this is like getting crazy. And he jumps into all these like broken shells, dives in. He's all cut up, you know, but just like Monty Python, like a mere flesh wound. The guy is my absolute hero, you know.
Oh, that's some good stuff. You don't see people acting that way anymore around here.
No. My kids get all embarrassed.
Yeah, right? You know? So, all right, Chuck, you know, it's time to do news now.
Oh, excellent.
So, I may need my glasses for this. Nah, we don't need that. Let's go on without it. All right, I got a good story today. This is one of my favorites of the weeks. All right, this Arizona woman has been arrested on bestiality charges after allegedly trying to arrange sex with a horse via Craigslist. So
the horse was on Craigslist?
No. The woman put an ad. See, and it gets even better. Listen to this. The woman, who's described as transgender and who the police report is legally known as Donald Weld. Hey, wait, isn't this the guy that I banned from my show?
I believe so.
No. Is this the
Clippers
latest
owner.
guy?
The Clippers.
That's right. So this person is only 22 and posted this ad on the missed connections section of the Phoenix Craigslist, saying, I am 22 years old and I want to play with a male horse. Simple as that. If you have access to a male horse and can allow me access to a male horse, then contact me, please. I will do something in return. There you go. So, the Maricopa County Sheriff, Joe Arpaio, you know who that guy is, too. He's always in the news. That's the guy who like really tough on crime, and he puts all the prisoners outside in the Phoenix heat and in tents and makes them wear pink and all that. So anyway, so this guy...
it was your old roommate.
No. So he said this was the fourth arrest since 2011 where an alleged animal sex abuser was caught on Craigslist. So they might want to crack down on that. So I want to talk about this now. There's a lot going on in this story. That, you know, this is the show of inclusion, right? This is the show of love, and everyone is accepted, and everything comes together here. Everyone's welcome here. And I have no judgment against anyone. But we got to draw the line somewhere. That, you know, it's fine what you want to do, but I just don't understand it. Like, what has had to happen in this person's life where they feel it's appropriate to engage in bestiality? That, listen to how crazy our lives were. And, you know, you've never... Well, I've seen some of the girls you've dated, but that doesn't really count.
Oh, are we going there? Are we going there?
But you've never considered bestiality, have you?
I was looking for a gateway to get into that whole dating
We're reading
experience.
the news now. We're reading the news.
Reading the news. I'm sorry.
Come on, I'm a serious
I
journalist,
digress.
Chuck. I'm a serious journalist.
I would bet it was something his parents did with My Pretty Pony, or something. I don't know what.
I just don't understand it. And then this guy is the second thing that I don't understand. I don't understand feeling the need to have a sex change operation. It may be just me, but I don't feel the need there. What has happened in this person's life that makes them want to do both of these things? And get back to the transgender, even though I don't judge and I accept everyone, that I understand that if you want to have a sex change operation, that you have to go through a psychological exam, you have to pass this exam. Now, wouldn't you think just the fact that you want to have a sex change deems you that you're going to fail any psychological test there is? Like, what else could be on this test that you would have to say to fail this test besides say, I'm a man, I want to be a woman? I would say, all right, bam, you fail. Next.
The NBA just called. You're no longer eligible to buy the Clippers. They got you.
Is that wrong for me to say? What do you mean?
You got to be sensitive to everything now. We're not in Rosedale.
But I don't know about that. That seems a little harsh. It seems a little illogical. But what are you gonna do? This is society we live in, Chucky.
Yeah, we'll be out hugging a tree later on. Celebrate this as a society of ours.
So, you know who else is back in the news? Lorena Bobbitt is back in the news.
Nice.
That she is now married and she has a daughter. And she runs a shelter for battered women. So, what do you think about this? Lorena Bobbitt being married again. Would you marry Lorena Bobbitt?
That's got to be the bravest or the craziest guy. It might be that horse guy. Because you got to be damn crazy.
You got to be a light sleeper, that's for sure.
Man, you really got to toe the line with that one.
Every time you see her cooking dinner, you're like running for the hills.
You get a little lippy with it. She starts just playing with a knife in her hand.
And here's another story. This is perfect. This story, it all comes together, Chuck.
Really?
That this guy was arrested at the Old Country Buffet.
That was not me. I don't even know where that one is.
Yes. Diners at an Old Country Buffet restaurant in Long Beach, New York. I made that part up.
I know.
It doesn't matter where it is. Recently called police to report a 26-year-old man who allegedly drank his own urine to wash down his meal. So, according to police, this man, identified as Ryan Bravo, entered the restaurant with an unidentified woman around 6 p.m. Saturday. And the woman left after buying the meal for this guy, and that's when police say things took a bizarre turn. Bravo stood up, urinated into a plastic cup, and then drank the contents while standing at his table. In the dining room, the police sergeant said in a press conference about the incident, several people in the restaurant complained about Bravo's alleged behavior, and he was asked to leave. Police arrived on the scene shortly thereafter and took the man into custody as he was walking away. Now, the comments are the best here. Despite the incident, not all of the diners at the Old Country Buffet lost their appetite. That didn't stop us from coming to eat. We're just hungry, customer Antonio Ramos told the news.
Who was sitting with Charles Carr.
Yes. And then someone else said, he can do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't pee in the food, added customer Jorge Medina.
True that.
So Bravo, who is police say is homeless, was charged with public urination. He has also been banned from setting foot on the property for 5 years. See, he wasn't even banned for life. He only got 5 years, and Sterling got life from my show. See how tough I am?
I could tell you a Rosedale story into that one.
Go.
There was this guy at a club. There was like 3 guys from Rosedale hanging out at a club, and the lines for the bathroom were ridiculous. So the guy was just, what he would do is he would just close up to the bar, pee in the mug, and then just put it on put it back up on the bar and leave it there, and then but somebody knew what he was doing, so that they get the bouncers, and he just did it, and he puts the mug up there. And then they go, the bouncers come over there and go, you, out of the club. And he goes, why? He goes, yeah, you just pissed in that mug. He goes, I didn't piss in the mug. That's beer. It's just a little warm. He goes, look. And he just shoved it down. And they said, I was not there that night. They said that the bouncers were just like, you disgusting brother. And they grab him and they throw him out anyway. Which drank his own urine and was thrown out.
So that actually reminds me that this is a good, helpful hint. That you know how when you have car accidents, people end up in ditches and they're stuck there for days and they always end up surviving by drinking their own urine? you've heard about these stories, right? Well, this is what I do. I actually store my own urine in the car. So just in case I crash and I'm stranded there for days, I actually have my own urine to drink. So
I'll put a couple of pints back there for you, too. Don't want you running out.
So that's it. Our time is up, Chuck. You believe that? That went so fast. Let's get back to some Tin Lizzy. Let's do our usual review on the album now. I will give this a thumbs up. I'm going to smell it again. You can just hold it or smell it, whatever you like. There's a lot going on there, too. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? You know who's on here? You know who's playing the harmonica on this? On this song over here? That bluesy Huey Lewis playing the harmonica.
Get out of here.
It says it right there. And I was checking it out, and it actually was.
Shoot.
This was before he was in Huey Lewis and the News, and he was actually, you know, an illegitimate...
His nickname was Bluesy?
Yeah, Bluesy Huey. So, we didn't get a chance to listen to that, but if you go buy the album, that's what you have for a treat.
Buy the album.
Bluesy Huey Lewis. So, yes, Chuck said he had this album, but he didn't tell me that at first. So I went out and I bought this. I got this for $4. Double album with like all these pictures and tons of songs, tons of everything going on here. And good thing I did, because Chuck showed up today empty-handed. After I bought the album, then he says, "Oh, I have that album too. I was going to bring it." And then today he shows up empty-handed without it, and says he couldn't find it anyway. So
payback for the Dropkick Murphys.
So that's it. Go out and buy Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous. Awesome band. And as I hear from Chuck, they still perform all over the place at local bars and bar mitzvahs and things. They have a cardboard cutout of Phil Lynott on the front, and they play the albums behind them.
Nice.
So it should be good. Well, thanks for coming on, Chuck.
Thank
It's been
you
a
for
pleasure.
having me.
Lift up your cup.
Oh, here we go.
Live from Dennis's house. You know, we've run way over time here, but it was well worth it, because we're going to play the Boys Are Back in Town live performance, too. We're going to push this into 45 minutes, Chuck.
Ooh.
You got a lot to say.
Wow.
But what I wanted to mention is that I'm going to be creating a new Facebook page here. I might be confusing people here, because I think it's time to get a Facebook page, and I'm going to send that out to everybody, as well as a website and all that stuff. But the name of the show is Live from Dennis's house, and you see my dilemma that my name ends with an S. So Dennis is, to say that, you have to put a little tick mark over the S, and you can't do that when you're naming Facebook pages and websites. So I'm going to call the show
Getting ghetto.
Easy Like
Dennis
Sunday
House.
Morning, because you could do that, Dennis House, or put 3 S's or whatever, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm just going to go back, because the original name of the show was Vintage Vinyl, Easy Like Sunday Morning, live from Dennis's house, which is
Nice
a lot.
and concise.
So I'm cutting it down. It's still going to be known as Live from Dennis's house, because I got the cups, but the Facebook page and the website will be called Easy Like Sunday Morning. So look for that. Show airs. When does the show air, Chuck? See if you're paying attention.
Sunday mornings at 9.
Very good. All right. We're out. That's what I think. Maybe you can come up. I want a good tagline. You know, like how Ryan Seacrest has Seacrest out. You got something like a closing line I could say from
You
going
should say,
on?
"Wish I was Chuck."
Don't believe that. See you later. See you next week. Stay tuned for the DeSilvas playing The Boys Are Back in Town. A very nice performance. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Guess who just got back today? Them white boys that been away haven't changed that much to say. But man, I still think those cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was and where you could be found. I told them you living on downtown, you're driving them old men crazy. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I say the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I say the boys You know that she used to dance a lot. Every night she danced on the floor, she knew what she got. Man, I tell you, she was cool, she was hot. And I mean that chick, she was sitting, man. And that time over at Johnny's place, well, that chick got up when she sat at Johnny's face. Man, we fell about the place. If that chick don't wanna forget her, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Woo! I see the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I see the boys are back in town. 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 You spread the word around. Well, guess who's back in town? Won't you spread the word around? Friday night doing just to kill. Valentino's bar and grill. The drinks will flow and the blood will spill. The boys wanna fight, you better let them. The jukebox in the car was blasting my favorite song. The nights are getting warmer and it won't be long. Won't be long till the summer comes. The boys, they are here again. You hear them? The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Woo! I see the boys are back in town.